All right, welcome to the Pitch Stack Podcast, Ep.5. Today is April 16th, 2022. You're probably hearing this a day or two later, but my God, we've got a ton of news today. I'm joined as always by my co-host and good friend, Matt Rodriguez. Matt, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I feel like there's so much information to disseminate. How's that for a $9 word amongst the masses with Fab 2.0?
Yeah, a lot of information, a lot of news since the last episode.
But as we record this, we are actually in the middle of the calling Krakow, which is probably not how you pronounce it, but it sounds good like that to me, is Krakow.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
And it started the cover. We live Eastern Standard Time, obviously. And I started the coverage this morning. When it started, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and prompted to fall back to sleep because I was like, it's Saturday. There's no reason to get up at 6 a.m. if you don't have to. And I was like, as soon as I wake up, this coverage will still be back on. So I woke up at like 9:45 and it was the last match of the day. I was like, oh yeah, it's Blitz.
Yeah, but you didn't get to watch it live at 6 in the morning.
I would have. Yeah, I got to see the last match live.
That's good.
At 9:45. And I'll tell you what, I actually I went and I rewound back through all the matches to look at everything. And it's just all Viserai. Viserai Oldham, Viserai. And then some People's Champion. There was this one guy who he was playing Icelander. He only had one loss going into the final round, which I believe he won. And he had a Patrick Star playmat, but it had the Fab overlay with combat chain.
That's
deck,
awesome.
Hero,
That's
but on top of the Patrick Star playmat. And he brought it, he set it down, he put his deck out, and then they made them switch to the coverage mat. And I was so sad because even the announcers are going on about what a beautiful mat it was.
Oh my God.
So
That's
I hope
disappointing.
Right? I got to figure out who the player was because I sure hope that they top 8. Because how do you not with that mat? It's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And also on the Viserai topic, I saw the graph for what the spread was for the day, and Jesus, man, it was twice as many Viserai as every other hero. Well, or is the second most played hero.
So I was thinking about it, right, with Viserai. What else is Poland famous for? And I'll answer this question because there's everyone's pierogies. I don't know. But the answer is The Witcher.
Oh.
And if Geralt were a flesh and blood hero,
yeah,
he'd be a Runeblade without
Absolutely.
a doubt.
100%.
Has sword. So
that
I think
just blew my mind.
I think it's just the popular fantasy meta over there.
And
is a Runeblade.
He uses rune magic too. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's why.
That is wild, actually. Now I want a Geralta Riviera altar for Viserai.
Yeah,
I've
right.
Never been more never wanted something any more than that. That's pretty sweet.
Just get the Henry Cavill.
Oh man, with the abs.
Right on. So I figured since I didn't want this just to turn into all Fab 2.0, although I'm really happy it will because there's so much to talk about. So I wanted to touch on Poland. What's going on there? What people are reading there? So I think Fab 2.0 is what we have teed up here. And I think I'm ready to get into that after the intro. How about you?
100%. Let's do it.
All right. Intro. You're
listening to the Pitch Stack Podcast.
All right, and we're back from the intro. Usually I like to pepper these in as we're doing the announcements, but I feel like everybody knows the general gist of Fab 2.0. So before we do a deep dive on everything, what do you say we knock out our mail? We open up some letters and hit some viewer questions.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, right on. So the first one comes from Jaden, who's a local friend of ours. Jaden, I haven't seen you at an armory lately, and it would be good to see you if you want to show up soon.
Jaden Yugi
called out, but yeah,
Let's go.
Somebody needs to end this tirade of Prism that I'm on, where I'm playing very well lately. But anyway, Jaden asks, and I hope it's you, Jaden, because it has been in the past. So Jaden asks, thoughts on White Border, good or bad for Fab collectors or players? So if you've been living under a rock, Fab is releasing a new set, a new old set, History Pack 1 of White Border cards. And they are reprints of the most important cards, although not every card. I'm curious to see which ones aren't getting reprinted, from Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, and Crucible of War.
I was under the impression it was the entire sets, all of them. Am I mistaken?
I believe if you add it up, it's like 40, 50 cards short.
Is that including tokens? Are we cutting tokens out of that as well?
I don't know.
Because I feel like they are adding the heroes and maybe with the weapons as well, because there was an image of White Border Dorinthia. So, yeah, I don't know. I was under the impression we were going to get an entire set, just everything combined. But I guess it could be curated to some degree. But that would also be weird, because I imagine a newer player who's getting into the game, opening up a box of History Pack 1, and they want to construct the deck. It'd be really weird to have like a kind of mishmash of Black Border and White Border, though that may just be like the new norm when it comes to newer players, and it might be just really ugly to look at. But, but it wouldn't be that bad if it was everything White Bordered, right? So I don't know. I thought that they would have every single common and rare available in White Border. Of course, I imagine they're not going to include any of the banned cards like Plunder Run and Drone of Brutality in the reprint. So that wouldn't make any sense, you know. Considering
I figure
like
with all the bans.
Well, Plunder Run might be included. It's still legal in Blitz, right? So
yeah, that it is. But yeah, I do believe that if you add it up, I mean, obviously we don't know if they're including tokens or not, which would bring that together. But I do believe that a handful of commons and rares are being left out of History Pack 1. And then obviously I believe legendary, or not legendaries. I believe the Fableds are not returning.
Correct. They are not. And neither is Skullcap, because we just got Skullcap, and we may get another unlimited printing of Everfest, which will also include Skullcap. So they are not including Skullcap. It's 9 legendaries, the 4 for each class in each set, and then the tunic.
Yeah, that makes sense. 9 legendaries, 62 majestics, 118 rares, 238 commons. So yeah, I wonder if like just the banned cards together with the missing Fableds legendary, I wonder if all that together ends up adding up to that number. So I think it'll include all the majestics. I feel like the only thing that's banned really that they would need to exclude is Drone of Brutality. I don't think anything else is banned within Crew and earlier. A Plunder Run banned and Constructed, but it's totally legal in Blitz, so there would be no reason to take that out, right? Yeah, I guess that would be 6 cards, and then tokens, or I don't know.
We may need to look a little bit into this just to get the numbers straightened out. But
funny you mentioned that. I actually just brought up the numbers for each set. You know, that way we're not leaving one on a cliffhanger.
Great. Yeah, that would be weird. I wouldn't like that.
Okay, so we have 238 commons in History Pack 1. So if we add up the amount of commons in Crucible, Arcane, and Wraith, we have 132 plus 126. Let's do live math. That's 150 or 258. And then we add the 103 commons from Crucible of War. So that leaves us at 361 commons. So we are leaving out. Ooh, that's fascinating. 123 commons are being left out.
Now, I do wonder, because that includes pitch value as well.
Indeed.
I wonder, since the set's not draftable, are we not including any yellows?
Well, that would be interesting. So that's 41 cards, right? If we're including pitch values.
I mean, why wouldn't they include the yellows? Because sometimes they're playable, but for the most part, you're not really playing the yellows. Like there are fringe cases where you would want the yellows for certain cards, right?
Yeah, like
Brute, of course, yes, and then Brute, of course, needs his yellows. Prism needs her yellows, but most of her cards come from Monarch, anyways. I don't know. Just a theory, right? Like, what if they're just excluding like colorations from certain commons here and there, kind of like nitpicking and choosing, you know?
That would be interesting. I'm really excited to see now what's being left out. Because if we look at the rares, right? So between WTR, Arcane Rising, and Crucible of War, we have 96 plus 56, which is 162. Is that right? That's not right.
It's not okay.
It's 152 rares.
That's not even all the rares. Wow.
Yeah. So we're leaving out 34 rares.
This is crazy.
Dang. Ooh. Also an awkward number to be leaving out. Although I do believe that that has to do with mechanologist items are usually only one rarity is probably what that is. And then, all right. So let me throw you for a huge loop though. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
This is going to blow your mind because when I saw this, it didn't make any sense to me in any way whatsoever. There are 56 Majestics in those 3 sets combined. We're getting 62 in History Pack 1. What? 6 Majestics out of nowhere?
Wait. Is this including the equipments? Equipment Majestics from Crucible?
I do believe so. This includes Majestic equipment.
Oh, I have a theory. I don't know. It could be right, could be wrong. But the Majestics that are in the classic battles that they're adding to the decks will also be available in History Pack 1.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I don't know, but that's just the theory. A game theory. I'm just kidding.
Where are these 6 extra Majestics coming from?
That is really weird. That is very weird.
I'm going to see so my numbers for these sets are coming from Wikipedia. And I wonder
at the actual product sheet, and all the numbers are correct that you said so far.
Okay, so there are 6 Majestics. I don't know. We've already accounted for the Lost Legendary, but 6 Majestic. Okay, here's a weird question. I didn't think they'd do this, but do you think certain rares have been shifted? That doesn't seem...
Oh, you know what? I know the answer. I just realized the answer. Super rares. They got upshifted. They definitely got upshifted.
Super rares got upshifted. That makes sense.
Become the Arknight is one of the images in the Fab 2.0 article, and it is a Majestic. So
I wonder if they split super rares. You know what I mean?
Yes. It seems like that might be the case, but I still think that they're leaving out a bunch of rares for sure. But I think they definitely did split the super rares up depending on their quality.
Yeah, because then we run into 86 is the combined number of super rares and Majestics. So I wonder, did some super rares become rares? Are they all upshifted to Majestic? What Majestics are never to be seen again?
Yeah, that's also true. Wow. Okay. Yeah. I don't know, man. We really don't know.
Ooh, and just based on these numbers, it's actually impossible for all the Majestics to be reprinted. So, oh man, there's going to be some price spikes.
Well, we'll have to see once the spoilers start coming out. I mean, do you think they'll do spoilers? What if they didn't do spoilers? What if
it comes out in like, what, 2.5 weeks?
Yeah. Like, what if they just release the product, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Ooh.
This is weird stuff, guys. But I want to answer the question. I think white borders are going to be good for the game.
yeah.
Let's circle back.
Simply. Yeah, I think white borders are going to be good for the game too. I think they're cool. I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously, we're going to keep bringing this up, and we bring it up every single time we talk. We're both Magic players, and white border Magic cards are cool. They vibe. There's a vibe about them.
For sure.
Now,
I'm sorry. And for sure, like, back into the next question, Brian S. asks us, running white border for the tilt factor, do it for the big brain, or does it make you look poor?
So here's something that's interesting, right? And I was thinking about this. And if you're a Magic player, or especially a competitive Magic player, you can relate to this. So in Magic, at the competitive level, there is a massive amount of cards that are look at your opponent's hand, and then they either discard a card of your choice, or they shuffle it into their deck, or put it at the top of their deck, or exile a card from your opponent's hand. And in Magic, you want to do this thing where your play set of 4 cards, you want the printings to match so your opponent can't tell what you've drawn. Now with Flesh and Blood, that type of effect almost never comes up. And it's actually advantageous to you to have 3 separate printings of a card so you can tell when you've gotten through your deck and you're starting to get to the pitches again.
Oh, wow.
Because, I mean, it's illegal, like, turn your pitched cards upside down, but there is no rule against, like, having an unlimited, a first edition, and a white border. And you can immediately start to see where you have literally hand-selected stacking your deck and signifying it just by memorizing the first card you pitched. And I definitely think that it's a good idea just to pick up some white borders. Like there's an actual strategic advantage. Like currently you can do like foil first edition unlimited, but with the I mean, if you don't want foil cards, like, I mean, they can curl in different climates and be considered marked cards, which can be an issue. Like now you can do this without having to get a foil card or
pay premium for having a foil.
Or pay premium. Yeah, you can do this all with unlimited printing now.
Yeah, so might be a little tough with Command and Conquer because first edition of that is a little up there, but you know.
So I think it's big brain, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely big brain.
Absolutely.
And if not, only just to tilt your opponents as well, because they're going to look at the white borders and they're going to tilt.
New player.
New player. What a schmuck.
Little do they know, they listen to the Pitch Stack podcast and they figured out small ways to rig the game that aren't illegal yet.
Well, we'll see if they address that. I don't think they will, though. Because like you still need to have some sort of like plan going into the game to be able to pull that off anyway. So
absolutely. All right on. So our last question, and this also dives into Fab 2.0, is they have announced PvE, which is player versus environment, which is not it's not a reality. Sorry, it's such a dad joke. It's not a new hit reality TV show on the Weather Channel. PvE,
that sounds like a great show, though. I would watch that. Player versus environment.
We took gamers and put them on an island with nothing. Yeah, I'd watch it too. So I think PvE is obviously players against a AI, or I guess you'd still call it AI if it was just like card or draw controlled objective.
Or like automated, whatever.
Automated is a great word.
Yeah. It's pretty much just like a deck that functions itself. Like it gives you instructions on how to play it, but you just do it and it operates itself. That would be a very good way to describe it, I guess. But definitely not AI, though, because that's like artificial intelligence. I don't know. Now, and either way, it's kind of like an AI.
Yeah. And then obviously, like, so most PvE card games, like Final Fantasy does this a lot. Magic the Gathering has dabbled in it, where there do exist Magic PvE formats, but they're uncommon and they're usually for special events. So we're not entirely sure what Flesh and Blood PvE is going to look like. However, apparently James White told Rudy, who is a guy, it's weird, we don't know his last name, told Rudy.
Yeah, that's actually true. Weird.
Now that I mentioned that, You know, because you want the names that you can't be like James White told Rudy. You know what I mean? Like you got to have two names. It's just the symmetry of the
flow of the convo.
It's a Rudy the Magic guy. He apparently gave him some details about PvE, and it seems like this cool hybrid between like a pen and paper D&D style game and Flesh and Blood, and it sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the idea of just being able to pick up a game with a bunch of friends, set on a quest or some kind of adventure. We'll see what it's going to be like. And then be able to put it down and then pick up your game next week. You know,
like I used my XP to add these 2 cards to my deck. I looted this piece of equipment from this chest. And then you just save your character deck list or sheet or whatever, like D&D.
Or maybe recharge spell slots. Yeah, dude. Or picking up like new armors and upgrading them. Or like putting.
Or the party has to rest and their discard pile gets shuffled back in.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh, it's so cool. Oh, I hope you're listening as James White, and I hope you credit us on the ideas. So I don't know
if it's not already full formed already. You know, they could be playtesting it.
Oh, I can't wait. I hope they drop it on sooner rather than later.
It's come soon. Sometime this year in the middle of like the summer or towards the end of it, I believe.
So, okay. So with that said, whether it is encounter based or boss based, I think Max asked, what do we think the bosses will look like? And I think this takes into account that regardless of the dungeon format, it'll still exist like a beat Cursed Garruk, beat the Hydra. I forget what the Final Fantasy boss set is. But I think this could end up being Fab's version of Commander. And Max asks us, I know, big statement to not follow up with. I think so Max is asking, what do we think the bosses will look like? So I don't know. What do you think, Max? Because I actually haven't given this a lot of thought. I've just been like, loot and treasure chests. No way.
I have discussed it a little bit. Not sure if I remember who with, but yeah, I mean, I have a few ideas for like types of beasts and stuff they could include that already exists in the lore of Fab. Like a Brawnhide is apparently like this sort of cat beast, or like it's got ears and claws and stuff. But it's on the picture, 2 pictures of cards, barraging Brawnhide and barraging Beatdown. Yeah. And there's also the Bighorn. Of course, both very brutish cards, the barraging Brawnhide and barraging Bighorn. That's like a rhino type of beast. Then, of course, you have the demonastery creatures, the demons and monstrosities, and they could have their own names and abilities, like Skullform, which I feel like could be a beast or monster from the demonastery, or an ability. I don't know, but that would be pretty terrifying to have to face. You know?
Yeah.
I think like they'd have special HP values and stuff. That would be pretty interesting. Pretty sweet too.
So I was thinking about this, right? And when they originally did the Crucible of War spoilers, they had like every single card had like a little like tidbit on it. And I'm thinking in the lines of like when Magic made like the super popular Planeswalker. Planeswalkers are like heroes of Magic the Gathering. They're like wizards, but they're not like wizards. Don't worry about it. So they took a super popular character named Garruk and they made him like a bad guy, and they had a whole PvE thing. So I was thinking about this when Fab spoiled Beast Within for Crucible of War. It came with this tagline: brutes walk a fine line when harnessing the power of the blood rage. Tip too far and become consumed by your basest instincts, slaughtering everything in sight until something else finally manages to cut you down. Wow. So like, what if it's just like Bloodlust Rhinar, you know, is the bad guy for PvE or whatever? Like they just take one of their heroes and it's
Isn't
like,
that man just like constantly blood rushed? Like there's blood rush fellow.
He's in full Donkey Kong
massacre,
mode.
like
calm down.
He's always very angry, it seems.
Yeah.
The calmest I've ever seen a brute was like the what is it? The one that prevents the damage. You roll a die. Bonehead Barrier.
Oh yeah.
He seems pretty calm. That brute.
Super rare. Bonehead Barrier. Maybe that one doesn't get reprinted.
Yeah, that's not that great. That would be pretty
I don't know. There's like, so that's the thing about Flesh and Blood lore, right? Is they only printed what seems like 2 of those books that outlined all the lore, and people want like $1,000 for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a piece of history, but yeah, I feel like they should expand the lore more.
Because there's just so many tidbits where it's just like they just casually mention something and they never go down that rabbit hole. It's a lot like Star Wars, right? Where with Star Wars, like you're watching it and they'll be like, oh yeah, that's a lot like when you were killing those creatures on random planet. And they'll be like, okay. And then it just never gets addressed.
Yeah, that's definitely reminiscent of how Fab lore kind of goes. And kind of just see random bits of the story throughout the cards.
Like, so I don't know. It's really interesting. I do want to bring up that if you look at all the mechanologist cards, there's definitely like what's the guy's name? Is it Dick Dastardly from like the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons? And he had that dog Muttley. I don't know. But like, there's definitely like an evil mustachioed, top-hatted, goggled mechanologist that seems to be very evil. And I would really like to like have to battle his, I don't know, like just 1920s stuff's funny to me. It's like his army of automatons. Like, I don't know.
I built a Gundam.
Yeah. What if he, but he's like, I have built as a mechanologist. I have spent years studying mechs. Sorry, it's a late day. But yeah, like it's certainly possible. Yeah, right? Just go full Shar Aznable and just go for it. So I don't know. There's like, I think I'd be really cool with that. And there's just, we need more villains in Fab, because it just, there really aren't any. There's like Shane, and even then, he hasn't really made us hate him yet.
I'm not sure. Last year would fail to last year with like a word.
Yeah, that's
it's pretty villainous. Viscera is kind of villainous right now. But you know what? Actually, it seems that the Rune Blade. I'm not going to go off on too far of a tangent. But I did read a little bit of lore, especially the one prior to Ep.5 releasing. It does seem that Rune Blade doesn't necessarily mean that you're associated with the Demonastery or that you're evil. Because Briar is a Rune Blade, but it doesn't really seem that she's kind of like aligned with the Demonastery. She kind of formed like a party with Lexi and Oldhim.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think,
yeah, it'd be interesting to follow their story even more.
I think like they kind of are using Runeblade as like, they don't want there to be too many different classes, because I feel like they very easily could have made like Shane could have very easily been like a Death Knight, and they very easily could have made Briar a Druid. You know what I mean?
I guess. I mean, but at least Shane and Viscera were very well connected in that lore.
Yeah, they
you know what I mean?
They're both
same bars. Blades, I guess. You know what? I really need to read the Chain lore, because I'm not super well versed on it that much.
Yeah, because it all goes back. Well, so Chain, I guess, like, I don't know. I think he like actually works at the Demonastery, where Lord Sutcliffe is kind of like imprisoned there, and he like has a giant like floating head.
Dead, yeah, sort of like not dead, but just giant floating head.
Maybe Lord Sutcliffe. I mean, giant floating head, usually a bad guy.
Yeah, he's a
Power Ranger is a notable exception. So I don't know. Maybe Lord Sutcliffe. Maybe he'll be a PvE bad guy. I don't know. I could literally talk about this for 6 hours. So please stop me.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a good point to move on to the full coverage of Fab 2.0.
Absolutely. Fab 2.0. The future. The death of first edition.
Yeah. Truthfully.
And I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of first edition cards.
I do like the new system, but I would be remiss if I didn't say that I kind of miss the idea of having 2 different kinds of products. You know, it made maybe a little bit more sense, more clear, like what you were getting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
But the new way that they're doing it makes a lot of sense as well.
Yeah. I think the thing for me that I find the most endearing of all of the Fab 2.0 announcements, before we get into like the nitty gritty of each one, is that the thing that draws people into Flesh and Blood is the gameplay is unparalleled amongst trading card games right now.
Like, I 100% a hard agree.
Nobody's out there. Like, I'm a huge Dorinthia fan, so I just collect all the Dorinthia cards. Like, it's just not a thing. And I've been known to do that with Planeswalkers and Magic. It's fine, Elspeth.
I'm very Liliana heavy.
Oh, right on. That makes sense.
She was my first Planeswalker I opened.
I got to think about mine. Mine might have been Elspeth. The more I think about it, maybe that's where it all comes from.
Your Elspeth love.
Yeah, right. I just like knights. They're shiny. So what's interesting to me is this announcement is like, hey, this is for players. This announcement is not for anybody that owns a plastic box that can hold a booster box, which, like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But this announcement was very much for the people who love to play the game and not necessarily for the people who love to invest in the game.
Yeah.
And I think that we may see some troubled waters over the next few months before this wave of like, okay, I'll try the game out. A lot of people are playing it because I keep seeing more and more people pick it up because the gameplay is amazing.
And I feel like that's already begun, you know, the kind of like, I wouldn't call it an exodus because, to be fair, a lot of collectors and people who are just fans of the game, the art, the style, right? People who kind of just want to hold their money up somewhere. Not a lot of them are leaving, right? I think they have a good understanding of what, you know, their value is, what their investment is in cold foils and from the first era, first ed arc and alpha, right?
Yeah.
And Crucible as well. Because that stuff's not going to go down. Like maybe right now because of the availability of so much availability of those products, but realistically, like those are collector pieces because of the rarity, right? And that's not going to go anywhere. That's essentially, we've already minted that essentially sort of as like not going to use the word reserve list, but like this is like the OG stuff, right? If you want one of these OG pieces, you're going to shell out the money. Essentially is what it boils down to. And then everything after that, and a little bit of just regular first crew, but everything after that essentially is the middle between the middle child, right? The unfortunate middle child, the byproduct of a great first half and then a re-envisioning of the product afterwards. So this Monarch, Aria, and Everfest area will, for a long time, I think, be regarded as, I'm not going to say the word mistake because the sets are great, but financially, like, not sound investments because of the sheer amount of product that is out there. But that won't be the case one day.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, right? Is usually we see trading card games, they get released, there's the initial hype and wave of popularity, and then they slowly die off. They might have a little resurgence, but they never hit that initial hype level. And Flesh and Blood, I've kind of seen the opposite thing happen, where they started out small and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger with every set. Yeah. Every armory I go to gets bigger and bigger. And there's like, it hasn't reached the critical point where it's a fad yet, which is weird, where like, people are getting into it because it's cool. That hasn't started happening yet. We're still on the nerd frontier in this wild west of trading card games. Like, I don't think it's like, and it's at this weird point where if you're an investor, the opportunities are there. Just because you were holding on to a first edition box of Monarch, hoping to get like $500 for it next year, like, it doesn't mean that the investment opportunities are gone. Like, literally, LSS is explaining investment opportunities to people, like, directly to them with this announcement. And I think that's what's so weird to me is like, hey, this card's already out. It's in cold foil. We're never making it in cold foil again. Get it now.
Their cold foil reprint policy is essentially their guarantee that this pack pulled cold foil will never be available ever. They reserve the right, of course, to make gold foil treatments, promo treatments, right, for events, but that's only always going to be a gold foil, right? And then the significance of that is much different than the significance of a pack foil, cold foil, like scab skins, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think, though, the new announcement is definitely going to shake some people out of the game. And that's evident as somehow by a stroke of like some obscene luck. I don't know how I like just stumbled on it, but I had the tab open for Rudy's Patreon, just watching a video. And then I came back to my computer the next day or something. And then I was going to close the tab out. And then I saw something, a little orange box there. And I'm like, wait, what's that? And I had hit X already. So I had to open it back up. I'm like, somebody unsubscribed. So I just went right in.
Yeah.
Snuck right in. So that was pretty sweet. And, you know, I just want to be able to access any future fab sales that he has, especially for like Uprising or classic battles and stuff. Like, definitely
absolutely.
Looking forward to that.
Well, especially like LSS gives him exclusives, and I don't know, it's cool.
Playmats and promos, yeah.
Congratulations. So I'm sure somebody like sold all their fab stuff and cashed out because they didn't realize that the allure of this game is not like that it's easy money. Like that's like there's a lot of people I know who like bought boxes of Wraith or Arcane Rising with no intention to play just because like somebody told them like, oh, Flesh and Blood's super expensive. Like look how much money you can make on the cards and what they're worth. And like that's one of my friends. I bought his whole collection for $40. He did that. Like he bought a box of Wraith because it was easy money. And it wasn't. And so clearly. And so I think like I think the investment crowd needs to kind of be patient because the only reason Magic the Gathering still exists is because of the gameplay. You know?
Yeah.
There was no reason to collect those cards. And so like, and I think that's where things like Pokemon and Digimon and even MetaZoo, like they kind of exist in this area where you can just collect them like sports cards or trading cards. And they don't exist the same way as like a different trading card game. Like nobody's sitting there trying to collect pummels. You know what I mean? Like just actions aren't collectible. Nouns are. And there's not a lot of nouns in this game.
That's true. Very good point.
And so I think what we're going to see is like, I mean, there was a point where you could get a Force of Will for 50 cents, you know? I mean, it was an uncommon back in the day. And I think like it's going to take a few years, but the gameplay is so good that the investment crowd, like if you stay in it, like you'll be repaid for it. But there's no reason just to like throw all your box of cards in the closet, open them up, play the game. It's the most fun I've had in years. I don't know. I think that's how I feel about it's a very collector negative announcement, but I feel like it won't be in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the combining of the two products is a good idea. And I really like the new model, especially with the adjustments to the pull rates as well. Because they aren't just combining these two products and saying you can get cold foils and rainbow foils in the same box. They are adjusting the pull rates for cold foils and rainbow foils proportionately. So that the cold foils are still meaningful, and then the rainbow foils are more accessible for playability.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like that because there's so many times where at my local LGS, I've just seen like a box of Tales of Aria sitting there and be like, well, there's no reason. There's no cold foil in there. No reason to crack it. Like maybe I'll win the legendary lottery.
The unlimited is like worthless.
And so now I think they're kind of getting rid of that because in a weird way, like even if like a set, like maybe I doubt Uprising is going to be just sitting on the shelf. My guess is there's just going to be a massive shortage of it right off the bat. Is just like, you know, boxes of Uprising, you'll just be like, oh my God, that could be anything, you know?
It could even be the cold foil. And if it's not the cold foil, at least I got the rainbow foil.
Quick, get my gram scale. We're going to weigh the box.
I wonder if there's a math. Man, that kind of concerns me a little bit too, though. I wonder if there will be a math to that.
Well, I already gave people that tip about stacking your deck with 3 prints of cards, so I don't know how much to the demonastery I want to fall here. But did you know if you have an open first edition box, you can weigh each pack and tell which one has the cold foil in it?
Oh, man. Oh, geez.
Yeah, boy. That's right. Now we're the evil disinformation podcast where anarchy rules.
The demonastery.
At least you can't map this game. Remember, like up until 2015, you used to be able to tell where the mythics were?
Yeah.
In Magic boxes.
You can't map it yet.
Yet. But we'll be the first to let you know. Only on our Patreon.
We will crack 2,000 boxes of the set and map it all. PDF version download
advanced
now.
Data algorithms single-handedly destroying the economy of New Zealand.
Man,
that's what will happen. So I don't know. I'm excited for this, but it's interesting though, right? Where you mentioned the new rarity.
Oh yeah.
The new rarity is interesting to me because
definitely
it
Marvel
indicates
rarity.
The alternate art.
Yes,
and immediately when I heard this, it's semi unrelated, but at the same time, I think it's worth mentioning. And I would really love to see Flesh and Blood do this. So I buy collections from people from time to time. I sort through a lot of bulk. And Magic the Gathering has one thing they do perfectly that I need Fab to do, which is if you have a foil card in Magic, next to the set number, there's a tiny star so that you know it's foil. Fab, I'm sitting there with like a light and being like, is it this card? And it'll be something like Forked Lightning where only like the bolt in the corner is foil. And I would really love to see them just put like a little mark or a star in the corner to tell me something's foil. And I don't know. Sorry, tangent, but the new rarity thing immediately made me think of that.
Yeah. And as we dive into talk about the rarities of the products moving forward, starting with Uprising, I don't know if the Majestic pull rate here has changed, but the other rates have changed. Majestic seems like they're 1 for every 4 packs. Does that sound different to you? About 6 Majestics a box?
Well, let's see. I think, in all of the Everfest I opened, I felt like I was averaging 6 to 8 per box. So that seems about right. Yeah,
maybe Everfest a little more because they had the Carnival slot. You could open potentially with the foil included, you could open 3 Majestics in a pack.
So I wonder if it's just so the 6 per box. My guess is that you will still be getting. We'll say that on average it'll probably be 7 per box because I'm sure the way the foil Majestic slot works. That you end up getting a 7th because that's kind of a wild card.
You're right.
So that seems in line with Everfest.
Okay. The next one is cold foils are about 1 per box at exactly 21 per 24 packs.
That seems right. I mean, yeah, that's about the Carnival slot really dicked some of us over, but that seems in line with Everfest.
Yeah. So it is interesting though. Almost every single box will have 1 cold foil at least. Someone out there will have no cold foils and someone out there will have 2. But for the most part, 1 per box every 24 packs.
I like that. It'll make cold foil common equipment $15, $20 cards, which is about what they're at for Tales of Aria and Monarch.
Yeah, exactly. Equipment the weapons might be more because they're usually more playable than common ones. That is, of course, if there are cold foil weapons, which at least up to now have not been available in booster packs, unless we're talking about Majestics weapons.
Yeah, non-token weapons.
Right, exactly. But there haven't been any non-token common weapons, is what I was getting at. Not yet, of course, that can change.
Yeah, that's true.
And then legendary rainbow foil is 1 every 80 packs. And I did the math. I think it's about 1 every 3.33 boxes.
So if we extrapolate that to the greatest common factor.
Okay.
So you get 10 every 3 boxes. Or I'm sorry, you get 3 every 10 boxes. And boxes come in 4. So it's
3 every 10 boxes. No, that can't be right. This is about
so it's 1 for every 3.33 boxes. Right. So 3 for every 10 boxes. And then we get to the greatest. So there's 6 in every 5 cases.
Well, no, it'd be 4 every 10 boxes.
Or 4 every 10 boxes. That'd be 1 every 2.5 boxes.
So, okay, no, you're right. 3 every 10 boxes. That's correct.
So 3 every 10 boxes. Yeah. So to get to the greatest common factor, we'd have to use 20. So there's 6 in every 20 boxes. So there's 6 in every 5 cases. So 1 in 5 cases has 2 legendaries now.
Ooh, interesting.
Which honestly, I've seen some 2 legendary boxes. My guess is that's pretty similar to what it's at. Do you think that, I mean, did they have a published number before that was different?
I don't think so. As far as my experience has been, that seems about it right. 1 every 80 packs seems about right. And legendary cold foil is 1 every 220 packs.
Ooh.
1 out of every about 9.5 boxes.
So theoretically.
Okay, let's go. Yeah.
So if we're getting 6 every 20 boxes with 2 cold foils in those 20 boxes, so that's 8. So in every 5 cases, there are 8. So theoretically, if you buy a case, you have a pretty good odds of hitting 2 legendaries, I guess.
Well, I don't know if that legendary cold foil
counts as the legendary.
It eats up your like, I don't know if like they every so often the legendary rainbow foil gets skipped and becomes a legendary cold foil. Actually, you know what? No, it wouldn't, because it appears in the token slot.
Oh,
you could open up. Could you imagine opening the God Pack one day? Maybe not an uprising, but one of these days, someone will open a booster pack, and it will have a legendary rainbow foil and a legendary cold foil, or even better than that, rainbow foil fabled, cold foil fabled.
Yeah, that was one of the first packs I ever opened of Fab was of Monarch, and this was still when I thought boosters were a good idea. And it had a Phantasmal Footsteps and a foil Arclight Sentinel, and I felt like I hit the lottery.
Yeah,
which I did at the time.
That is pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, that's what won me over on the game. So yeah, that's interesting. So there is the double legendary God Pack, and we'll tell you how to map those.
Sign up for the Patreon.
Yeah, there's no way. I guarantee you that the unmappable boxes are part of Cardamundi's sales pitch to TCG games, since they're doing the actual printing and packaging.
Right. And also the way Fab does distribution for their rarities, it's per pack. It's not per box.
Yeah.
So I think it is very difficult to figure out the mapping on that. Unless like you have a large enough sample size and you know that everything came from one palette, that might be good enough. If you can get like all the data from that, like if it all came from one streamline, like, from the factory belt or whatever, it just continued into these boxes in a row. I feel like you could probably figure out, which of these is going to have 2, which of them are going to have 1. I don't know. Know. It seems difficult though.
I don't think you could do it. I think it's just part of Cardamundi's, like, I don't want to call it a shuffling algorithm, but you know what I mean.
That seems like a good thing, though.
Oh yeah, it's 100. I mean, like, there's definitely there's like so many competitive card printing manufacturers that's got to be, security has got to be part of your sales pitch.
Of course.
So a few other things that they mentioned in the Fab 2.0 announcement, like, I guess, like things that are just touchable on that don't really need to be expanded, I guess, is we're getting more classic battles.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be sick.
There's more lore incoming, thank God, because I can't get enough of it. And I guess the PvE we already talked about. And then now we have UPF and Commoner as officially defined formats That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Now UPF is also blitz sized as well.
Yeah, it's just blitz decks with your friends. I still think PvE is going to be the primary mode of play for casual friendly matches. Until they start, they got to really juice UPF, because UPF kind of sounds like something me and my friends came up with over lunch.
I don't
know what I mean?
It feels like Commander players wanted to play Fab and then also still play Commander. It's weird. Fab's gameplay, I don't really feel like it kind of, I don't know. It just, I haven't, you know what? I'll be honest. I haven't played a game of UPF yet. So maybe I'm speaking too soon. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should play a game of UPF with the guys.
I mean, how are we I mean, I guess we'll just put money together and pay 2 other people to play with us. If that's how UPF feels right now.
How we're going to have to do it. Our local meta doesn't take too kindly to casual. I'm just kidding. The UPF.
So I do want to take this moment, though, to get into what I think is the current problem with UPF. Sure. And why UPF isn't popular, and why people aren't having UPF nights, and why there's no CUPF.
Cup.
Exactly. There's no cup. And so I think what it is Commander and Magic. The original reason it was invented, or the reason it was popularized, was Magic judges loved it because it was complex rules interactions in a format that let you play every card ever against 3 other people with weird interactions that they would have to figure out. And Commander and Magic the Gathering lets you do very broken things that you can't do in normal constructed competitive Magic. And there's nothing broken to do in Fab yet. There's nothing weird, over the top, like goofy that exists other than Shiana.
So I want to suggest a topic that maybe we can look into, perhaps, no guarantees, but we'll look at it and consider it for the next podcast. There's a format I have heard of has a small following. I have to look it up again. I know what it's called. It's called Arena. And
what?
From what I remember, it's called Arena. From what I remember, though, from reading, essentially you choose any 2 heroes and you put them together. Like, you play with both of them, right? And your card pool is of both heroes classes. So you could do Prism, Viserai, and then now we're talking.
I just found their official, like, all good rogue formats. And if you play Magic and you've heard of some rogue formats, like, you definitely know, like, Canadian
Gatewatch.
Highlander, Oathbreaker.
Oh yeah, Oathbreaker, yeah, not Gatewatch, Oathbreaker, yeah.
And so you know that, like, all these, like, weird rogue formats have one thing in common, and I don't know how it keeps happening, but they all have a real nice website, and so does fleshandbloodarena.com. Like, it's a real nice website, and they do a really good job. I can't wait to cover this next episode.
Let's definitely
do a great job of breaking this down. And my favorite thing about this whole thing is there a ban list? Yes, Duskblade.
Oh, of course. What is it? Duskblade?
That's the whole ban list.
Yes, that's awesome. Duskblade.
That's a great meme at this point.
It was a mistake. Let's just all admit that it was a mistake.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect, though. 60 cards singleton, 2 heroes, just broken.
Yeah, this seems great.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's great.
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. Oh gosh, your intellect's the highest number between the 2 heroes. Suddenly Data Doll is relevant. What?
That's awesome.
All right, let's play this. We probably won't even have to pay both the other guys.
I think I've mentioned it before, but not very briefly. So let's definitely get an episode on this, talking about it.
Yeah, at some point this week, between an armory or something, we'll have to see if we have time to, like, actually sit down, get 2 other people, and just actually play this format, because this sounds awesome.
I don't know. Is it multiplayer? Is this what it is? Actually, I haven't read it.
Is it multiplayer?
Well, we could just make it multiplayer. Use just UPF Arena.
Use UPF rules with Flesh and Blood Arena. That was they had teams in the Roman gladiatorial events. Oh, they share a soul.
Oh yeah, it does. They do allow multiplayer for this. Yep, sweet.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's
start at 40 life. Only attack your left and right, just like UPF. How does Shiana work? Oh, you can double the effect of your own hero. Okay. All right. So we're going to break this week. This sounds super fun.
Yeah.
I might actually even message the people who do this because we can talk to them on Twitter. And I'm absolutely fascinated with this.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, now they're up to 10 followers. So please follow at @fab_arena because this is a great idea. It's great gameplay.
With a website like this, how do they only have 10 followers?
People don't use Twitter anymore.
Oh my. This is, yeah, but still, I don't know. Maybe we'll check their Facebook later. But yeah,
absolutely. Okay, so Arena, so Arena just did something, and you nailed it, Matt. It's like EDH lets you do broken things. That's why it's popular in Magic, because you can just like live out your crazy inner Timmy, and with Flesh and Blood, like UPF is just normal Flesh and Blood, but it's 2 more people. So like this is amazing because this is actually letting you do broken things.
Yeah, they have such a little following. Like, maybe let's look into this, right? Let's genuinely look into this and we'll retouch again. And then perhaps in the future we can talk to the people who made it or the guy who made it, person who made it, We'll see if we'll see what's up with it and we'll interview them maybe. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
But on the topic of like the formats we were just discussing, Commoner has been adjusted to only include commons in your deck pool.
That's right. So didn't Commoner technically include rares before?
Yeah, that was confusing because I thought it was only commons and someone's like, no, it includes rares. So now it actually is only commons, except your hero could be a rare.
Yeah.
Any of the CRU rare heroes are allowed in Commoner.
All right. This is okay. So I kind of like having just commons. That's a lot clearer because just commons and rares with no, like really it was just the no majestic or legendary format, which was weird. And if we get rid of rares, the format becomes very different and it's cool. Yeah. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I built 6 commoner decks this week.
Oh, wow.
Not even kidding.
That's
so I'll bring those to whenever we do all this stuff so we can test commoner stuff.
Yeah, let's play it a little bit. I'd be down to try it. As long as you got the Viscerai deck.
I was clearing out all my bulk and I was just like, oh, I guess I have like 2 extra cards of each common for this class and I just put it together. So I did that with a whole bunch of decks because one of my friends just got into Fab and I wanted him to try a bunch of heroes before he committed to a deck. So I was like, yeah, I'll do this with Commoner. So sick.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited about Commoner. I'm afraid Commoner formats tend to get broken very quickly because they don't have the same power balance as a multi-rarity format, but maybe Fab won't have that issue.
Yeah, I don't think they will. The problem with Magic is that the Urza's block exists. That's the only problem. And Mirrodin block, that's the problem. Mirrodin block and Urza's block. If you just take those out, I think Magic Popper's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Sadly. How did they just let like half of the cards in the Urza's block like be free? Like,
yeah, right.
How are half of those cards free? Anyways, it's just like untap all your lands.
Robots. Yeah. He's real powerful. No, he's the bad mechanologist.
I think that is the problem. Just free spells. Mirrodin, Affinity. Yeah.
Swarming Gloomveil. It's free spells. They're the problem.
Yeah. Swarming Gloomveil is pretty sweet.
Blue auras.
So I was gonna say, speaking of Swarming Gloomveils, I think somebody got like quadruple Swarming Gloomveil that are armory today.
I quadruple Arclight Sentinel somebody in armory today. I got 2 of them in play. And then I forget what happened, but I was able to Miraging Metamorph, and they're in a situation where they had to break it, and I got to make more Arclights. It didn't feel like it felt great, but then you realized, like, you look at yourself in the mirror, and you're like, who have I become?
Who am I? That's terrible.
I'm the villain now. I have 24 resource points worth of just frustrating, salty sadness on the board. It's not great.
That's yeah.
I'm just gonna use the one you killed last turn as the token. Stuff like that.
The disrespect.
Yeah, right. It didn't feel good. So Commoner sounds awesome. This is so interesting. This is going to be so great. And I know I hate to be like, next week, you guys are going to love this. The guy who started Flesh and Blood Arena already responded to me.
What? That's awesome.
He said Chain Levia is their personal favorite.
That seems
play Levia stuff to rebanish the chain stuff, replay the chain stuff, all while ignoring Blood Debt and making a bunch of shackles. So they already broke it, and they already found something cool and broken to do. And then immediately, just in the sales pitch to me, it gives the EDH feel where you get to do stuff you weren't supposed to be able to do. And that's what UPF's missing. And that's what I think Arena has. And there's currently only 14 people in their official Discord. So you're really getting in on the ground floor of this one. First edition, alpha, Fab Arena.
Then Flesh and Blood.
Back in my day, there were just
starts releasing. Then they start releasing. What is it? Arena Fab Arena 2023, and then Fab Arena 2024 pre-con decks for Arena.
Oh, absolutely.
That'd be sweet.
Oh, I can't wait.
But we have a couple things left on the Fab 2.0. I know it's probably not too exciting for most people. I'm not saying it's exciting for me, but there are some interesting changes I think we should talk about, and that's replacing the restricted list with a suspended list. So we no longer have a banned and restricted list. We now have a banned and suspended list. What do you think about that?
One Swarming Gloomveil.
Yeah,
I don't know. I like the idea of a suspended list, though. Just like because they'll be like, well, we already printed these new heroes. They're just on it in like a shipping container, and nobody's gonna buy them until June. So we just need this card to chill for a month while we print something that just destroys it. So
I think that's nice. I think I like a suspended list. It helps with that big lull that we have between draftable sets that release. Because right now it's not like Magic where like every month we have a new set.
Yes. Magic. All your disposable income now has a dump to be thrown into.
All your income belong to us.
We'll drive the waste management truck right up to your front door to dispose of that income with Magic the Gathering. The set anticipation with Fab is amazing, and I do like that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Spoiler
the wall fatigue with Magic is unreal. I know off topic, but it always baffles me.
Yeah, it's like we get spoiler season for Kamigawa, sets out for a month. Okay. Spoiler season for New Capenna. Okay. Oh, wait. Leaks for Commander's Baldur's Gate. Let's go. And then now we start getting Commander's Baldur's Gate cards, New Capenna releases. And then now we're getting leaks for whatever Urza set that's coming out, or like the Infinity, I think, comes before that, and then it's just all downhill. Oh, secret layer alert, secret layer alert, secret layer alert.
Oh, gosh.
Non-stop product flow.
Non-stop product flow. I hope Flesh and Blood gets there. I hope it doesn't get there. You know what I mean? Like Magic, it's easy to paint Wizards as like this evil company, but they're only printing things that people want to buy. You know what I mean?
They're doing a pretty good job of making cards. Let's not give Hasbro that credit, though. Let's give R&D that credit.
You mean Transformers, Hasbro? I don't know. I don't know what else to yell at Hasbro. But yeah, I'm excited for that. So wait, did we miss anything with the Fab 2.0?
I got one more thing.
Got completely derailed, so please help me.
Yeah, of course. We have one more thing, and that is the Living Legend rule. Now, it's about the same. Nothing's changed, except that they are adding something called a signature weapon. So each hero's signature weapon will go along with them into Living Legend status. So say that Bravo Showstopper becomes Living Legend, a Nothos will become not playable as well.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. There were definitely some heroes that I thought it was kind of weird, though.
Meaning the choice for the weapon?
Yeah, where they didn't choose the token. I thought that was interesting, like with Bolton and Prism. Mm-hmm. Isn't it all four of the heroes from Monarch, or did they attach Galaxy Black to Chain?
I think what they did, with the exception of Rune Blades, I think what they did was they just, from Monarch forward, it was the majestic weapons.
That makes sense.
So from the first two sets, it's all the token weapons, right? And up and all the way to crew, some of the young heroes don't even have a weapon designated to them. Like Shiana Data Doll, some reason Data Doll doesn't get the plasma rifle or whatever it's called. And Cavdane, since he's a merchant. But Benji's got Zephyr Needle and Ira's got Edge of Autumn because Kasai is Centauri Saber. So if Kasai ever hits Living Legend in Blitz, then you'll no longer be able to use Centauri Saber in Blitz at all. Yeah. Dude.
Big sad. Big sad from the Kasai player.
But for Monarch heroes, it's all the majestic weapons except for Shane, who's his Galaxy Black. And then for the Arya heroes, it's all the majestic. It's Winter's Wail, Voltaire, and Rosetta Thorn, not Duskblade, of course, because Duskblade is already banned. And then for Icelander, it's Kraken's Aetherfang.
And Icelander is the only one with their own weapon from Everfest, yes. Right?
There's no Guardian.
Shyana's obviously Talishar.
Yeah, no.
I know. Yeah,
Talishar's not even on the list, actually.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough. But yeah, this is interesting. But one thing they also did add was that in the future, when enough heroes have reached Living Legend, that they will be introducing an official format. Or it's their vision that it will become a format, right? Then there's no official announcement or anything like that because there's not enough heroes there. But I think that they'll come to that decision. Yeah, I will. They'll definitely come to that decision sometime probably by the end of next year. I feel like we'll have enough of a time to put some heroes there. Unless they just obsolete a lot of these heroes that are pulling their weight right now. I don't know.
I guess the way I look at it, a healthy Living Legend format, unless they allow current heroes to partake.
Oh yeah, it would. Yeah, for sure.
Because I feel like you would need a bare minimum of 4. I would probably prefer 8. And so that it's definitely such a long way off. Because if you think about it, Starvo did the 3-month speed run. And if they were to print 4 broken heroes a year, that speed run, it would take a whole year for them to have enough Living Legends. And then the competitive scene would die out just because it wouldn't be fun anymore. So I'm thinking at least 3 years before we see a true Living Legend format.
Yeah. I think it'll be a while.
Absolutely.
And I think that's about all for Fab 2.0.
Yeah, I think we nailed it all.
We've hit all the big points, I think.
Excellent. Well, with all that said, man, we covered a lot today. I lost focus. That's rare for me. I'm wearing my glasses. I know you can't hear my glasses, but I'm wearing them. And I don't know. Matt, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I just to top off the conversation essentially on the same, subject of Fab 2.0, but I think that the game's heading in a good direction. I think now there is a lot of turbulence in there's another word I'm looking for, but tenuous, relationship right now with a lot of the players because of the announcement, the Monarch numbers, a lot of the issues with the CFB supply of product, Card Shop Live, what they've done to the second age of the game, the Monarch Everfest era. But I think that'll recover in time. My opinion is that the game is only going up from here. If this is the lowest the game's ever gotten, then we're really in for a great time moving forward. Yeah. Because I feel like the game's been on an uptick ever since it started. And if what we're experiencing right now is a low point, then, I feel like the future's got a lot for us. The game in general, that the game will be very successful.
And it's one of those things where for a game to be successful, you kind of have to separate it from the collectors. You need to purely let it be something that people attach fun memories to and not necessarily a cash value. And I know that this comparison is all sorts of flawed and messed up and could be definitely poked apart by anybody. But if you take the greatest tabletop game of all time, there's nobody sitting there with a first edition queen behind a glass case for their chess set. Everybody has every piece for the most competitive game state in their house. Almost everybody in America has a chess set, or their parents do. And it's weird to compare it to that, but the longevity of a game is putting the best game pieces in the hands of the players and not in the hands of the collectors, because it's a game, it's not a battle of finance. Although trading card games are inherently composed of things that are basically financial instruments in all but the strictest academic definition of them, I'm pretty excited about Fab 2.0 because it's putting more cards in the hands of the players.
Of course you wouldn't have a cold foil chess set. Jeez. What a peasant.
Imagine unsleeved. You just sleeve your pieces. I need to stop. Oh my gosh.
String grab, cold foil, knight, bishop. Oh,
sleeving your chess pieces. I think that does it for today. I need to take a time out for it. It's too weird. All right. Well, that concludes the Pitch Stack episode 5. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Later.
Farewell.
Oh, real quick, just something to think about if you're listening before we start next week. Somebody on the Discord, because if you're looking forward to our breakdown of Fab Arena, which seems to be amazing, somebody just messaged me, or on the Discord, somebody just put in that their favorite deck is Viserai Shyana.
That's fucking awesome.
Double the rune chance.
Oh my god, no way.
All right, looking forward to it. We'll see y'all next week.
Good night. See ya.